What do you mean it sucks?
This pepper beef is too damn spicy.
What are you talking about? This is good.
How's it going, guys? Pepper2Spicy here. Hope you guys are doing alright. So, out of the news of the recent days in the Tekken land is about Lucky Chloe. People are not exactly happy with the new character, and there's a lot of controversy going on right now on the status of the character and how, there's a lot of negative backlash about the character, which is all over the place. There are people who like her, but the people who really don't like Chloe, and I mean like really, really don't like Chloe, seem to have like a louder voice, which leads to some interesting issues. So, excuse me, in order to tie up some of the issues that some people have with Chloe, I decided to do this video here, which hopefully will explain to you the situation at hand, and maybe have a more open mind and broaden your horizons when you're thinking about Lucky Chloe. So cutting to a new type of video thingy in now. So let's talk about Lucky Chloe. Lucky Chloe, for sir, is something kind of out of Marie Rose from DOA or the Vocaloid Hatsune Miku, something really out of like a Japanese idol playbook. At the moment, there's a lot of negative backlash towards Tekken character's newest character, Lucky Chloe. So much so that Katsuhiro Harada, Tekken's director, has apparently tweeted that Lucky Chloe won't be coming to the US release of Tekken 7 and instead will be region locked to Asia. While at this moment it is unconfirmed, as many are skeptical whether he would actually do that, his American correspondent and assistant at Namco Bandai, Malcolm Murray, claims that Harada is only trolling. But nonetheless, how can there be so much hate for a single character that it would give the well-respected and well-loved Harada-san from moving here away from the US if he is to be believed? Well, first, let's examine on why there is such a negative response to Chloe here in the West. And by the West, I'm referring mostly to the United States and Canada. Of course, maybe I would refer down to South America as well, but mostly as the Western sphere in general, including Europe. Tekken, in essence, is unique among most fighting games, as it has more realistic theme than other fighters. Specifically, Tekken has a reputation for having characters using real-life martial arts as their fighting styles without diving too far off the cliff of disbelief. Some of these fighting styles include Kung Fu, Kenpo, Karate, Judo, Aikido, Bajikwan, Boxing, Kickboxing, and Muay Thai are all martial arts that exist in real life, and are emulating Tekken well thanks to the outstanding job of Tekken's animation and art team. When compared with other fighting games like BlazBlue, Marvel vs. Capcom, Mortal Kombat, or even Street Fighter, Tekken is more bare bones, less flashy, and more hard on the martial arts stance than other fighting games. Tekken is a long-running series that dates back to the mid-90s and is all the way to its 9th incarnation if you're going to count Tekken Tag 1 and Tekken Tag 2 as main games. So if Tekken is a realistic fighting game because it has a theme of grounding the game's limits to a more realistic world by having more bare bones and having a harder influence from martial arts, what does this have to do with Lucky Chloe? Well, like Tekken 6 veterans Lars and Elisa, as well as newcomer Claudio, Lucky Chloe's design, personality, and fighting style step outside this so-called established, realistic trope that Tekken, to many of its fans, are known for. To many fans of Tekken, Chloe ruins the theme of Tekken, or better yet, it ruins the immersion. Lucky Chloe in ways acts as the antithesis to what some Tekken fans enjoy about Tekken in particular. Lucky Chloe, as far as I know, has no real martial art and instead uses a series of playful acrobatics as opposed to something grounded in reality like boxing. Her overall art design describes an obvious, this is an anime character. From the frills, to the long blonde pigtails, to the overly flashy and over-the-top costume, to the exaggerated cute and kawaii personality that looks like and sounds like something out of Pon Pon Pon. Normally, you wouldn't see someone walking down the street that is someone Lucky Chloe. Lucky Chloe result is a completely unrealistic character when compared to our world, which is why upset fans demonize her. Essentially, when compared to people like Bruce, or Law, or Hwarong, Steve, Nina, or Jin, Chloe is so disconnecting from an established theme of realism that many fans are upset about. Basically, Lucky Chloe doesn't fit in at all in Tekken's genre. Right? Well, if we take a closer look, Tekken is not exactly the messiah of realistic fighting games. You should probably look at the UFC games if you want a realistic fighting game, and for one, that's kind of boring. For one, Tekken being holistically realistic is a myth and should be debunked. Tekken has many characters that are on the realistic side of things, yes, but people tend to forget that characters like Roger, Alex, Kuma, Panda, Yoshimitsu, Devil, Angel, and the Jax were all characters that existed since the early Tekkens in Tekken 1 and 2. Where is the realism in a cyborg Robin Hood ninja with a laser katana that spouts random Japanese nonsense? Or a boxing velociraptor? What about a grizzly bear that knows karate? Okay, maybe you can make a case with Roger.
And that's when the weapons are unleashed.
But my point still stands. Even in current Tekken, there are numerous cases where the game shows off how wacky it can be. What about Devil Jin, or Jinpachi, and of course Lars and Elisa need no explanation. Let's look at some of the haircuts. Heihachi, Kazuya, Jin. The Mishima family sure has a thing for wild hairdos, special mentions to Mr. Phoenix of course. Then there's of course the Tekken combo system, often referred to as juggling. When have you ever seen a fight where somebody is juggled in the air like this? Don't forget that some of Tekken's endings are particularly silly and comical.
Cheers! Yeah! All thanks to you, Steve.
It's ready! My special recipe pizza!
It's about time.
It looks delicious.
This is good. No! No! Come on, man!
いかんでごわす。犯罪でごわす。しかしまさかあのご婦人が確認するでごわす。
Taken into custody a half-naked man charged with voyeurism. I'm turning him in to the local authorities.
違うでごわす。確認だけさせてほしいでごわす。
So if Tekken has both realistic and unrealistic, if not outright wacky tropes, why are people still upset about Chloe? Why aren't people acknowledging that from time to time Tekken has done wacky things? My belief is that a more serious tone of Tekken is more influential than the silly parts. Some people tend to recognize that a character like Miguel, who was debuted in Tekken 6, is more of a standard character that fans expect, as opposed to Lars and Lisa, who were also introduced in Tekken 6. This is because the more serious tones of Tekken often outshine the wacky ones, although the wacky ones definitely exist. Even ever since Heihachi and Kazuya had such wacky haircuts, their personalities weren't exactly over the top, to an extent, and the haircuts, as wacky as they may be, were somewhat conservative in the type of haircuts that Japan has produced.
Come, Lady Yuna. Come with me to Zanarkand, the lost city of the dead.
To tie back with what I mentioned earlier, people are upset about Chloe because it's so blatantly obvious that she's wacky and silly. Yes, characters like Roger and Alex exist who are completely unrealistic, but the main issue here is that that caused the outburst is that Chloe is such more over the top than those characters that people made the connection right away that she is very wacky, at least in their opinion to Tekken. Although most people tend to forget that wacky stuff exists in Tekken, she has this de-immersive factor that people just cannot handle. Sure, there's as bad as Cyborg, Robin Hood, Ninja, and Tekken that sure is out of the ordinary, but people will turn a blind eye because Yoshimitsu, while still pretty much as unorthodox as Chloe, is more cool than he is silly. Well, Yoshimitsu's kind of insane, but that's for a different video. Even Lars is more cool than he is silly. Still, it would seem a bit hypocritical that people are hating on Chloe because she's unrealistic, because as we've established, Tekken is not realistic. Is it as unrealistic as BlazBlue? Hell no, but that doesn't make it a realistic video game either. Now, the other reason why some people are upset with Chloe is her visual design. If you have experience with Japanese video games before, you know that Japanese art style these days tend to favor the over-the-top, the exaggerated, and the fanciful. These art styles can be seen in many Japanese video games, but are best seen within Japan's most famous type of entertainment, anime. Anime, if you don't know, is short for animation, and it is Japan's unique form of animated movies and TV shows. Anime is so huge that it is impossible to say that every anime has a single defining trait because there is a lot of diversity within anime. But one of the more popular stereotypes and beliefs about anime is that it often looks like this.
It says you're going to be late tomorrow.
You trying to make me mad?
It's just what the cards say. I think this is your future.
You think that's my future?
One could get an idea that Chloe is similar to that kind of art style. Now in Japan, from what I understand about modern Japanese culture, this kind of stuff is very popular and well liked. Of course, not every Japanese person would think that way, but if it wasn't popular in the first place, then I imagine we wouldn't be seeing a lot of anime that look like this. Now, here in the West, not everyone is a fan of how over-the-top, shiny, exaggerated, and energetic anime can be sometimes. It's sort of a cultural thing. If it was, anime would be more popular here, but it's still kind of in that nerds-only phase. Meanwhile, fantasy is breaking out to be more in the general public, but that's a story for another time. Why are some people here not a fan of this stereotypical anime design? I can't say for sure, but I'm going to guess that Westerners enjoy before gritty, more realistic art styles. But that's just an assumption with no real studies or sociological bullshit that I don't have time to do. So essentially, because Chloe is very similar to the anime stereotype, she's getting a lot of negative feedback for it. For it seems that in the West, people aren't really fans of the anime stereotype. That isn't to say there aren't people here who enjoy that kind of art style, because I have friends who do, and I know many people who do enjoy that. As in general, most people who do watch anime, both in the East and in the West, are fine with that kind of anime stereotype. In order to make Tekken more popular, there are reports that the Tekken team is trying to make the game more appealing to a wider audience, hence the introduction of flashy sparks, slowdowns, and even supers in Tekken 7. It's also logical to assume that Lucky Chloe is also part of this mass appeal direction and that she's the kind of character that Japan would enjoy. Some would say that they shouldn't appeal to the masses, that they shouldn't only appeal to the FGC or to hardcore players, but I disagree with this mindset, because essentially it's mostly elitist. Tekken shouldn't only be for people who are competitive, it should be for anyone and everyone who wants to play it regardless of the way they play it. Even if people don't know how to play Tekken, they still have the right to enjoy it. Nor do I or anybody has the right to force them to play in the competitive way, because one would claim that that is the right way. I disagree with that notion, but now I'm branching off into a different topic. So to return back to Chloe, there are, of course, many people who like Chloe, who don't mind her being an anime stereotype, and those who don't see her as a disconnection in Tekken's direction and art style. For reasons being that usually is that she's cute, she looks fun, and heck, she's actually something that's completely brand new. Some people are very restrictive when it comes to changes. There was a bit of a backlash in that Tekken was going to be made easier. Some people wanted to stay hard so they wouldn't have to deal with scrubs trying to join their community, but as I mentioned earlier, that's sort of an elitist mindset. Well, if you watch this far, then you like listening to me talk, but seriously, this is an analysis of why people are hating on Chloe so much, and I hope that I've broadened your horizons on Lucky Chloe's design. It's okay not to like the character, but please give it a second thought next time you bash Chloe for being too unrealistic, because it's pretty obvious if you look at it that Tekken isn't realistic, or that Chloe is too wacky, because Tekken can be wacky too. Personally, I don't like her design because it reminds me too much of the anime stereotype, which I am personally not a fan of artistically. That's my opinion on the matter, but that doesn't mean I go around saying that she ruins Tekken and she shouldn't be in Tekken. My belief is that if she annoys the hell out of you, just don't play her. Tekken has plenty of wacky characters, so it's not like it's going to get worse when she joins the roster. One character shouldn't stop you from enjoying Tekken. One character shouldn't ruin a game, because for all we know, Chloe is only 5% of an entire game. Just because you don't like 5% doesn't mean the other 95% is shite as well. So that's pretty much my take on the situation. I don't like Chloe, but, I don't really hate her. And you can hate her as much as you want, but, just remember that Tekken has unrealistic and wacky things in it from time to time. You can't really make that argument, although you can definitely say that Chloe is much more obviously unrealistic than Tekken is used to. But that's all I gotta say for now. So I've been Pepper Spicy. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please comment below what you think about Chloe, and I'm expecting many of you to rage about Chloe in whatever way you want. But even if you like Chloe, you should post anyways to defend your character, because she may not be she might not be coming to the US. depending if Harada is trolling or not. And I hope that he's not trolling, because that's going to make it difficult for people who main Chloe, who are from Japan, and they go to the US to compete, and they can't use Chloe. So I'm hoping that Harada is actually trolling in this sense. Been produced by Z. Hope you guys enjoy this. I'll see you guys later.